Our next topic for the future of the leadership development is motivation. In the future, the one unit that is going to be at a premium is motivation, inspiration, and enthusiasm. Indeed, AI can do a lot of things, but one thing it cannot do is inspire teams. So it's going to be the role of leaders to be those motivated. And how can leaders motivate their teams if they're not motivated themselves? With our companies that we work with and with a lot of our clients, what we see is that leadership development is a must-have. This is something that everyone has to go through. And one of the challenges is to really shift it and to make something out of it that people truly want to engage in and that they're actually engaged in throughout the process. We know a lot today about what is engaging in the human brain. This is a problem that has been solved. Lal, tell us about how some of the companies that we know are actually working with that.
No, of course, Coca-Cola is an example that I think they do this really well. They do it in a more gamified setting, which is also contributing to that motivation because there's this bigger narrative that you're a part of. It is completely immersive. So leaders are able to put everything aside and completely focus on the task at hand. And in terms of Coca-Cola, they were in a stranded island. They were put into smaller groups and they were trying to be the first group to leave the island by building a hot air balloon. So I'm sure Sabrina will have a lot of builds on that, but they are kind of incorporating collaboration, competition, bigger narrative. So all these different elements that make Coca-Cola's game very engaging and motivating.
I can't wait to go on a desert island with my team and try this game. What do we know from science? I mean, is this just fun, Sabrina? Or is this actually based in science?
This is one, very fun, and two, also based in science. There's a couple of things that come to mind for me. One being this idea of positive competition, going off of what you were talking about with Coca-Cola. There's this idea of co-action effects, which means that in the presence of others, we want to perform as well as them doing the same task, which we see all the time, which we see on sports teams, etc. So that's something we can really leverage or when it comes to designing these programs. But then something else is obviously there's big talk around gamification these days, which there is a misunderstanding, I think, as well, because it's not only framing things as a game, but you can also have elements within a particular program that hint at gamification. So things like milestones, badges, things like that, to leverage to really get that dopamine release out of our leaders to continue that motivated engagement with the material. As dopamine does, it's a pleasure hormone. It makes you just want to come back. And so that's what we want our leaders to do when we're really trying to drive continued engagement and positive change.
So we work a lot with our clients across industries, be it learning or retail, education, entertainment, to create products that create a hook and solve the retention problem by always bringing their consumers and users back and creating experiences that are addictive in the purest and best sense of the word.
Exactly.
So here is our next we'd love to see what are some tools that actually put those in practice and how can these principles be applied in technology.
Yeah, there are two tools that come to mind and it's actually very in line with what Sabrina's saying. Habitica is a habit building form. So what they do is they incorporate these small elements, like if you are able to follow with something that you're trying to build habit towards, then maybe you get a reward in the game, or you get a reward that could be something that you do for pleasure. So you clean up your kitchen, now you can watch TV. So it's incorporating these small elements of gamification within a real life setting that makes these habits stick. And then on the other hand, what Axonify does is its whole thing is a game, and they use actually the same principles of collaboration and competition that we know makes video games addicting, because it gets your mind into this flow state where they're very focused on what you're doing. You don't even notice how time passes by. It's very, very connected. So what they do is by keeping you in this flow state constantly based on this gamified setting, collaboration, competition, they make you stay in the game, develop more. So yeah, those are two things that do gamification in a smaller and bigger scale.
Fascinating flow state. Of course, we have to be careful with not overloading on that, because we know endorphins or dopamine overload can be a thing as well, right?
Certainly.
But the question is, how do we apply these things for good? And how do we actually create positive habits, be it in healthcare, in education, and of course, indeed, in leadership developments. And that was our next principle for the future of leadership development, creating addictive experiences and products that make people want to come back in order to create motivation in leaders themselves and their teams.